With profound, humble gratitude and love to all venerated enlightened masters, we bow to the Almighty in soulful gratefulness for gifting us with their holy blessed presence. May all beings be awakened by their divine grace.
Part 1 of 4.
Etc.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
True wisdom comes only when the ego disappears, and the ego disappears only when you are ready to abandon yourself completely to the Supreme Lord without any personal motive and without any expectation of profit. When you do it because you cannot do otherwise. Please continue watching to find out more wisdom from the mother, vegetarian.
It just didn't make sense for me to continue to eat dairy as an animal lover. Lucy Watson, vegan.
आपसे मिलकर अच्छा लगा means nice to meet you in Hindi. I am Mahit. The vibrant people of India are inspired by your noble spiritual journey and pray that you are always guided by God. Today we present to you part 2 of Knowledge and Wisdom, selections from On Thoughts and Aphorisms by the Mother Vegetarian as we continue our inner journey of self-realization. Mira Alfasa, who became known as the Mother or Shrima, was born in 1878 in Paris, France. Although she showed great artistic, musical, and writing talent at an early age, her real interest was the spiritual side of life. Based on her inner experience and guidance by a saint she later recognized as Sri Aurobindo, she traveled to India in 1914, where she met him for the first time.
As soon as I saw Sri Aurobindo, I recognized in him the well-known being whom I used to call Krishna, and this is enough to explain why I am fully convinced that my place and my work are near him in India.
Sri Aurobindo conferred the title of the Mother in recognition of her embodiment of the principles of the Divine Mother. When the decision was made to create an ashram in 1926, Sri Aurobindo entrusted all the spiritual and material tasks of running the ashram to the Mother. For the next 50 years, under her loving guidance, the ashram developed into a spiritual center for truth seekers. The Mother went on to found 2 more organizations, the Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education, offering courses from kindergarten through university level, and a visionary community called Auroville, or the City of Dawn. The Mother also developed an extensive series of spiritual writings. These highlight a goal of ultimate union with the Divine, along with becoming master of ourselves and our destiny. Shining through all of her work is the Mother's love and devotion to God. Though she left her body in 1973, the 17 volumes of collected works of the Mother forever serve as a shining guidance and inspiration for spiritual seekers. The following passages come from the Mother's book on Thoughts and Aphorisms, where the Mother expounds on the following quote by Sri Aurobindo: "Late I learned that when reason died, then wisdom was born. Before that liberation, I had only knowledge." Once again, I must repeat that the form of these aphorisms is purposely paradoxical in order to give the mind a little shock and awaken it enough for it to make an effort to understand. One must not take this aphorism literally. Some people seem worried by the idea that reason must disappear for one to become wise. It is not that. It is not that at all. Reason must no longer be the summit and the master. For a very long time in life, until one possesses anything resembling knowledge, it is indispensable that reason be the master. Otherwise, one is the plaything of one's impulses, one's fancies, one's more or less disordered emotional imaginings, and one is in danger of being very far removed not merely from wisdom, but even from the knowledge needed for conducting oneself acceptably. But when one has managed to control all the lower parts of the being with the help of reason, which is the apex of ordinary human intelligence, then if one wants to go beyond this point, if one wants to liberate oneself from ordinary life, from ordinary thought, from the ordinary vision of things, one must, if I may say so, stand upon the head of reason, not trampling it down disdainfully, but using it as a stepping stone to something higher, something beyond it, to attain to something which concerns itself very little with the decrees of reason, something which can allow itself to be irrational because it is a higher irrationality with a higher light, something which is beyond ordinary knowledge and which receives its inspirations from above, from high above, from the divine wisdom. That is what this means. As for the knowledge of which Sri Aurobindo speaks here, it is ordinary knowledge. It is not knowledge by identity. It is knowledge that can be acquired by the intellect through thought, through ordinary means. But once again, and in any case, we shall have occasion to return to this when we study the next aphorism. Do not be in a hurry to abandon reason in the conviction that you will immediately attain to wisdom, because you must be ready for wisdom. Otherwise, by abandoning reason, you run a great risk of falling into unreason, which is rather dangerous. Many times in his writings, particularly in the Synthesis of Yoga, Sri Aurobindo warns us against the imaginings of those who believe they can do sadhana, disciplined and dedicated practice or learning, without rigorous self-control, and who heed all sorts of inspirations, which lead them to a dangerous imbalance where all their repressed, hidden, secret desires come out into the open under the pretense of liberation from ordinary conventions and ordinary reason. One can be free only by soaring to the heights high above human passions. Only when one has achieved a higher selfless freedom and done away with all desires and impulses does one have the right to be free. But neither should people who are very reasonable, very moral, according to ordinary social laws, think themselves wise, for their wisdom is an illusion and holds no profound truth. One who would break the law must be above the law. One who would ignore conventions must be above conventions. One who would despise all rules must be above all rules. And the motive of this liberation should never be a personal, egoistic one. The desire to satisfy an ambition, aggrandize one's personality through a feeling of superiority, out of a contempt for others, to set oneself above the herd and regard it with condescension. Be on your guard when you feel yourself superior and look down on others ironically as if to say, I am no longer made of such stuff. Thus when you go off the track and are in danger of falling into an abyss. When one truly attains wisdom, the true wisdom, the wisdom Sri Aurobindo is speaking of here, There is no longer higher and lower. There is only a play of forces in which each thing has its place and its importance. And if there is a hierarchy, it is a hierarchy of surrender to the Supreme. It is not a hierarchy of superiority with regard to what is below. And with human understanding, human reason, human knowledge, one is unable to discern this hierarchy. Only the awakened soul can recognize another awakened soul, and then the sense of superiority disappears completely. True wisdom comes only when the ego disappears, and the ego disappears only when you are ready to abandon yourself completely to the Supreme Lord without any personal motive and without any expectation of profit. When you do it because you cannot do otherwise. For more information about the Mother and Sri Aurobindo, please visit sriaurobindoashram.org.
No to vegan? Because you don't care about anyone else except yourself.
Caring viewers, it has been a pleasure to have you with us for today's episode of Words of Wisdom. Coming up next is Cremona, the city of violin making, part 2 of 2, right after noteworthy news. May love and peace prevail among all beings in our harmonious understanding of the divine.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/WOW.
รายการของเรามีให้หลายภาษาโปรดดู suprememastertv.com/schedule และ suprememastertv.com/WOW